You're listening to Everybody Pulls the Tarp, the go-to podcast for high performers. I'm Andrew Moses. Each week, you'll hear my thought-provoking conversations with Olympians, pro athletes, CEOs, elite coaches, best-selling authors, and other high performers to uncover their secrets to success. Get ready to be inspired each week when we talk about leadership, teamwork, work ethic, and more. Are you ready? Let's go. Hi, everyone. This week, my guest is New York Mets pitcher Stephen Nogosek. Stephen has had a great start to his 2022 season, but despite his success, he has moved back and forth between the Mets and their AAA minor league team in Syracuse. Even amidst all the change and uncertainty, he always looks ready to go when he is on the pitcher's mound. I have been curious to find out what is driving Stephen's success. We chatted a few weeks ago and explored Stephen's preparation, his detailed process to hone his craft, how he stays focused during times of unknown, and so much more. Just wait until you hear from Stephen how much goes into throwing a pitch. I have been watching baseball my whole life, and I still can't believe it. My conversation with Stephen is filled with ideas that stretch far beyond baseball and will help you reach your full potential in anything. So, let's pull the tarp and get straight to New York Mets pitcher Stephen Nogosek. You've had a great start to your 2022 season with the Mets. 8 2/3 innings, 7 strikeouts, 0 ERA, .92 WHIP. But there's something really unique that I think caught my attention about a month ago, and it's the amount of time that you've been moving back and forth between the big club and AAA. And I want to focus in on a particular period of time that I just think is really interesting and speaks to your grit and determination. You start the season at Syracuse, May 8th called up to the Mets, May 12th sent back to Syracuse, May 17th called up to the Mets, May 25th, sent down to Syracuse. May 27th, called up to the Mets, and here you are. But what's interesting is, amidst all those ups and downs, you've been pitching really, really well. And I think it speaks to, the fact that on any team, it takes a lot of people doing a lot of different things when they're called upon to make a championship happen for any organization. How have you been able to how do you navigate through all those ups and downs, that constant change, and continue the success that you're having?
Biggest thing is just control what you can control. I know it sounds cliche. I know everyone says that, but when you take it into what it really means, it helps. I mean, I can't control being sent up and down. I have options, and so they're going to send me up and down and get a fresh arm. That's just part of the game. And the biggest thing that I can control is I can't control throwing well either. Before I say what I can't control, I can't control. I could dot a pitch down and away, and he gets hit 480 feet. You're facing the best hitters in the world. It happens. And so all I can control is the effort I put in every day, getting myself ready, preparing the right way, and then getting after it and competing on the mound. That's all I can control. And in the past, I don't think I realized that. I worried about all the other little things. I worried about being sent down. I worried about trying to dot every pitch. And it's like, when I got to just compete and give it everything I have, and whatever happens, it's out of my control. That's when I started to see, I can compete up here. My stuff does play up here. And so I think for me, it's just control what you can control.
Is it something that you just realized at one particular moment, or was it something that a coach or a mentor or a more experienced player made you realize?
I think I just kind of figured it out on my own. I mean, in 19, I came up. I wasn't mentally ready to pitch in the big leagues. I was having a ton of success in AA and got called to AAA and had success. But the big leagues is different. It's tough, and mentally and stuff-wise, I just wasn't ready to be up there. And so I learned from that, and then all of a sudden 2020 happens, and then I don't play at all. I don't throw a single pitch in 2020. I stayed home the entire time. And so I completely revamped my repertoire. And then in 21, got an opportunity, pitched well, and got hurt. And that was it. And so coming into 2022, it was so much more of just, okay, stuff-wise is there. What am I missing? And it came down to mentally, I need to start focusing on the right things. I need to stop focusing on the fact that I have options available. I will be sent up and down. Well, I don't want to get sent down because this is my dream. That I've worked so hard for this. I deserve this. Well, so does everyone else. You don't deserve anything. And so all you can control is working hard, getting after it, and showing you belong. That's it. That's all you can control. And so for me, it was that mental talk that I had with myself this whole offseason of, yeah, you belong. Yeah, your stuff is there. Yeah, you're good enough. But just stay the course, keep your head up and keep grinding. Because I used to say, put your head down and just keep working, keep working. No, like keep your head up, like have a positive attitude about it. Just keep working and good things will happen. And so I think for me, like it wasn't necessarily a like veteran talking or a coach. It was just I had to have that conversation with myself.
Nobody's going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself.
Absolutely.
I always say that, right? And you know, mentors have said that to me, and I think it's so important. It starts with you. And a topic that comes up a lot of times on this show, you know, when I talk to Olympians and other pro athletes and CEOs, musicians, TV stars, is you have to be as obsessed with the inputs as you are with the outputs, right? You have to enjoy the process of being a major league ball player as much as you want to be a major league ball player. Talk about your process a little bit. 2020, you know, no organized activity. Obviously, the season ended in the minor leagues. What did you do? You know, you talked about rebuilding the repertoire. What went into that?
So I did have a good mentor and pitching coach in Danny Carrasco. He was our AAA pitching coach going into the 2020 season. And I talked to him probably every day in 2020 about what do I have to do to, you know, make myself better. All I had in 2019 was a fastball and a fringe slider, and I won't even talk about my changeup. And so, yeah, I had the big vert fastball, top of the zone, and like double A and triple A, I shoved and I set. Someone told me I set a record in triple A for most scoreless. I have no idea. But I got to the big leagues and got crushed because I couldn't throw my slider for a strike. They didn't respect my changeup. I didn't even have respect for my changeup. And so they're going to crush my fastball. It could be the best in the world. It doesn't matter. If you just have that, it's not going to play. And so for me going into 2020, I knew I had to really change everything. And so I added a cutter, revamped my slider, got my changeup going, and then added a curveball. And so now all of a sudden I went from this one pitch pitcher to 5 pitches that I'm confident in and I can throw for strikes when I want and bounce them when I want. And so all of that kind of gave me the confidence kind of going into 2021 of like, okay, here we go. But then I got there and it was like, well, is it as good as I think? Like, because I'm using Rapsodo, I'm throwing TrackMan. Yeah, they're telling me it's great, but it's like at the end of the day, does it get hitters out? And I think that's where a lot of people don't understand that is like you can have the best of everything on a Rapsodo and TrackMan. Does it pass eye test? Do hitters see it out of hand? Like, so all this stuff, and I haven't tested that yet. And so going into 21, it was like a little nerve wracking. And then talking to hitters, they're like, dude, everything looks the same coming out. Like, it's good. So there's that confidence of like, okay, yeah, I can. And then that starts building and building and building. And then last year I was throwing well and then just hit a rough patch and was getting crushed. Couldn't get anyone out. And all of a sudden, a week later, I'm called to the big leagues and I'm like, well, I don't know why y'all are calling me up because I'm getting hammered right now. And ended up throwing well. Like it gave up back-to-back homers, but I went 3 innings and 5 strikeouts, threw the ball well, and then got hurt. And then going into this offseason, it was like, okay, how do we not get hurt this year? And so you revamp and you do a bunch of other stuff. So you're constantly working, constantly trying to improve, because if you don't, you'll get left behind.
So how do you brought up something that I want to dig into. You said, you know, the hitters were telling you that things were looking pretty good. Is that something that you do a lot, that pitchers do a lot? Do you talk to hitters on your team who maybe see, or how do you get information?
Constantly. You're constantly talking. Or during season, it's tough because you can't go to the other locker room and be like, hey, how'd myself look today? And so you rely a lot on your catcher, and you make sure, like, I like to use the TrackMan data to make sure my pitches are doing what I want, right? And so first it's like, okay, what does TrackMan say? TrackMan says, yeah, this pitch is really good. Okay, great. Let me go to the catcher. The catcher may say like, yeah, it's moving more, but it's early and it's not very good. Okay, scratch that, because they're hitters. If they can see it, then okay. And so it's all just a balance of constantly talking to hitters. And spring training's great because, especially for me coming into 21, where I revamped my whole repertoire, I was probably annoying, but I was asking hitters constantly, what did you see on this? What about this pitch? What about this pitch? What about this pitch? Like, because I wanted to know, like, are you seeing something? Because analytically they're good, but what are you seeing? And I found that like my slider that I thought was really good, it's popping out of my hand. And so it's like, okay, let me fix it. Let me throw it different. And then I got the same break, and hitters later in spring said, hey, it's not popping anymore. Like, it's coming out good. Like, that's a good pitch. And okay, got it. So it's just constant questions.
How do you balance like too much feedback versus too little feedback, knowing that you're taking the right feedback? Like, there's something to that too, right?
Yeah, and I mean, there's some like, that's another thing. You can ask a question, and one person is like, yeah, it pops, and then the other 5 say it doesn't. And then you sit there and it's like, okay, like, for example, Jeff McNeil crushes me. He sees me well. No matter, I could throw the best pitches I've ever thrown, and he just crushes me. And it's so, okay, he sees me well, and he's a really good hitter, but like, he sees me well. And so it's like, I can't go to Jeff to ask questions, because he's going to say, I see everything well. You stink. Not that he would say that, but just like, that's someone who sees me well. And so I can go to other guys, and it's like, okay, hey, I've had some success against you. You've also got me. And so what are you seeing? What are you sitting on? Like, you're facing me. What is your approach against me? And there's that balance of getting all that data. And then when I go into a game, it's just compete. I have all my data. I've done all my preparation. I've done all my research. Now it's just compete time. So I'm not thinking about, oh, well, my slider pops sometime. No. If I'm going to throw a slider, I'm going to rip my slider, and I'm going to get the guy. Like, that's the confidence you have to have with it. So I would say that's the balance of do all your preparation and research, but then when you step on that game mound, just go compete.
So let's talk about that, Stephen. So I'm always curious. Relief pitchers. I mean, you come into a situation. Oftentimes, it's not a clean slate. You're inheriting a situation that you didn't create, and you have to make the most of it. What do you do when between the bullpen and getting on that game mound to essentially set the deck for yourself and say, I'm going to do all the things that you just described in terms of being confident and playing my game and doing what I need to do?
I think it's different for everybody, right? So for me, I've been a reliever ever since my freshman year of college. And so I've been coming in with guys on for so long that it's just put up a 0. Like, that's the mentality. Don't let the run score. And so each situation is different. If there's second and third, 1 out, and I got a bad matchup for me, okay, hey, I can pitch around him because I got that base open, that now we have a double play anywhere. Or, hey, we got a guy on third, 2 outs, and it's a good matchup at the plate for me. I'm going to go after this guy. I'm not going to mess around. I'm not going to try to finesse. I'm going to go right after him. And so every situation is different, but I think the biggest mentality for me is just put up a 0. Don't let that run score, put up a 0. And, I've always kind of related to those are my runs. Like, that's been my mentality. And I heard that from older guys at Oregon when I was a freshman, was like, treat it as your runs, and you'll lock out a lot more. And in college, there was such the desire to win, and then getting to pro ball, it's more, hey, we want to win, but more development. Like, I remember with Boston, I went from throwing a 2-seam to a 4-seam, and they're like, we don't care if you give up 10 home runs, learn how to throw the 4-seam. I'm like, okay, well, this is different. So, but it's just the mentality of, like, I love it. I love coming in with guys on. Like, I love that competition and that pressure. I love it.
You can tell watching you that you love it. You thrive in it. And I think there's something, there's obviously something really cool brewing with the New York Mets this year. You guys are having a ton of success. And One of the neat things about the Mets this year, I think, is the resilience and the fact that the team's coming back a lot. There's been a few games in particular which have just been extraordinary comebacks under really tight circumstances. So it's always interesting to me, when a reliever enters a game and the team is down by a ton of runs, and you see the reliever really lock it down and, give the bats a chance to go to work and chip away at that deficit. Does the focus ever change for you? I mean, whether it's the third inning and you're down by 10 runs, does the mindset ever change?
The only outing I've had where, the mentality changed a little bit, I guess, was 12-5, and I came in against Washington at home. That's much more of I'm attacking situation, right? Like I want to attack. And I remember the first guy I came in, I walked and I was like, why are we being cute? It's 12-5, go after him. And so it's much more like, I'm going to attack. I don't want to walk people. I just want to get after you. Whatever happens, happens. Now, if it's eight, like my first outing this year was 8-3 against Nationals on the road, right after we just came back against Philly, that's much more of a, hey, everything possible to put up a zero, right? And so my job is to put up zeros, whether it's 12-5 or 8-3, we're losing, but it's just a different attack plan. And I would say, like, I want to attack regardless, but if I'm facing Juan Soto in an 8-3 game, I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm not going to just challenge him with a fastball and let him hit a solo home run and make it 9-3, us losing. But in a 12-5 game, if I give up a solo home run, it's 12-6, we're still winning. And but I'm going to attack him. So it's a little different each situation, but I mean, this team is so resilient, and it could be 10-1. If we're hitting, we have a chance. Like, it's truly not over till it's over with this team, and it's something special.
It feels like that watching you guys, and I want to get into that more. I'm curious first, though, the bullpen. I mean, how much are the guys in the bullpen working together throughout a game? I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that. Is that happening?
Every pitch. So we have iPads that we can watch the video. It's on a 2-minute delay where we can go back and watch previous at bats. And I mean, we're constantly talking down there like, okay, hey, I would like to see him throw a front door sinker here, or I'd like to see him throw a slider here. And he guy I remember walk last night, threw a splitter in the situation, got the guy out, and we're like, okay, let's rewatch this at bat and let's talk about it. And so there's three of us sitting there with the iPad. We're watching the at bat, and okay, yeah, no, I actually do like the split there. Like that makes sense of why he did that. And so it's constant just talking about pitching. What can we do better? Like, hey, instead of a fastball here, I would really like you to throw a split here. And even though I got the guy out, it's like, yeah, but you throw a split there, it's ground ball double play instead of a pop out, and you're out of the end. And so it's just constant learning and just trying to get as much knowledge from these guys as possible. And again, the bullpen's resilient, where we get after it, and this just the whole team, we get after it constantly. We talk baseball, we support one another like no other. It's truly a family.
Is there one particular guy out there in that bullpen that's a real ringleader, that is really one of the leaders of the group that stands out?
I think Ottavino. I mean, the guy's been doing it for so long, and he's still out there throwing 95, 96 with a Frisbee slider. And his knowledge he has the perfect balance of, hey, throw the right pitches, but also act like your stuff's just flat out better. Like, I'm going to get after you. And so with his track record and what he's done in his career, when he talks, I just try to take in as much as I possibly can, because I know I can't take it all in, but there's certain things that he'll say that it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And he'll sit there, and he knows hitters well. He'll say, oh, well, this guy's tempting you to do this, but that's what he wants. So don't get fooled by that. And it's like, oh, I would have definitely done exactly what you just told me not to do if you didn't tell me that. And so it's just little things like that, that help a young guy like me incredibly.
It's so cool, right? Because like on this show, one of the things that I'm drawn to is just these stories of success behind the scenes, right? I mean, success is built behind the scenes, and people see you on the mound, but there's so much. That's like 1% of it. There's so much going on, and the average person looks at a baseball game and they see a bunch of guys sitting out in the bullpen. They say, "Oh, they must be shooting the breeze, figuring out where to go eat after, which bars to check out." But there's so much work going on. There's so much work going into it, and you talked about Ottavino there, and the way you just listen and absorb. Max Scherzer is someone that I have, you watch on TV. I swear the guy must burn the same amount of calories when he's sitting in the dugout as when he's on the mound. He's constantly moving. He's constantly engaged. Yeah. What is it like being around leaders like that? And obviously deGrom for numerous years. You're around so many great pitchers and so many great leaders.
I can't really put it into words. It's just special. I mean, you have like deGrom, who's so much more of a lead by example type guy, right? He's not going to be super vocal. He's not going to be this super extroverted energy type guy. And then you have Max, who's always intense. And you ask him a question, they're there to answer. And that's the big thing with this team is our leaders lead by example and make time for any questions and just get after it. I mean, everyone's excited to get deGrom and Scherzer back because they're just presence on the mound, presence in the locker room. Like, it's special. And then, you have a guy like Lindor who's very like, hey, but like after a loss, he's like, hey, we'll get him tomorrow. Like, tough loss, I know, but we played our hearts. I almost said a bad word, but we played hard and we got after it, and it just didn't go our way. Like, we aren't gonna win out the rest of the year. It would be great, but I don't think we're gonna go on a 100-game win streak. So, like, there's gonna be those tough days, and there's gonna be days where we lose really close ball games, but keeping the energy in the clubhouse good and that mentality of on to the next day, let's get after him tomorrow. And you leave the clubhouse in a mood of, all right, yeah, let's get after him tomorrow, and not dwelling on the past. Like, you can't control the past. And it goes back to control what you can control. You can't control the outcome of that game. You can control your mindset for tomorrow. And so we have great leaders in the clubhouse. We have a great veteran presence. And for a young guy, that's incredible.
It's got to be a ton of fun and an amazing learning experience. And one of the things, always drawn me to baseball is I love the daily grind. I love how baseball is like a microcosm for life. I don't think there's a sport that really embodies what life is in general. It's every single day, day in and day out, ups and downs. The best hitters in baseball making out 70% of the time, right? You have to deal with failure. You got to control a lot of the things that we're talking about. And it's just one of these things that I always say, like, baseball is beautiful. Like, baseball is just one of the coolest things out there. And there's so many lessons you can take away from baseball, whether you ever put a baseball in your hand or not. And I think what the Mets are doing right now is speaks to like the power of, the best organizations are not always just a compilation of the best, in baseball's case, the best 25 guys. It's what you were alluding to there there's a ton of talent in that clubhouse, but it's a really nice mixture of talent. I'm curious, when you get into a room, like, did you feel that in spring training, or did it take some time to know that this was going to be a special group?
Like, when I walked into spring, like within the first couple of days, I was like, this is different. Like, we had guys going out of their way to, talk to all the guys who are non-roster invites, and, setting up things that are clubhouse based and all that stuff. And, the talent in the room was incredible. I mean, you have two of the best pitchers in the game. You got one of the best shortstops in the game. And then you have Alonso, Squirrel, Escobar, Nimmo, Marte, Canna, brand new like free agent signings. And then our bullpen's revamped, but we still had the good base that we already had. It, like, you can go through the entire locker room and just say, like, this is going to be special, not only talent wise, but people wise. Like, you have just amazing people in the clubhouse. And I think it all started with Buck and Buck's mentality and bringing what his knowledge and his leadership into the clubhouse, it was like, okay, this is going to be a different Mets team and the different Mets year. And you've seen that. We've had, our injuries, we've had, the ups and downs, but we keep grinding, we keep getting after it. And from 1 to 25, it doesn't matter who it is. We believe we're going to win every game, and there's zero doubt in our minds. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot of people, and I think this is just a really, really special team.
There's a long way to go, Stephen. We know that, but the Mets are headed the right direction. As someone who has watched the Mets my entire life, you can tell something. You can tell something's different in the air right now, and I think we're all very, very optimistic. Funny little story. I've told this. I think I've told this before on the show. It might have been when I talked to Todd Zeal, but we'll tell it anyway. When in 1994, I was a young kid living in New Jersey. The Rangers win the Stanley Cup, and they had this huge ticker tape parade. And I come home and I watch some of it on TV. My biggest concern, I say to my dad, I said, Dad, what's going to happen if the Mets win the World Series and I'm going to be in school? He says, I promise I will take you out of school to watch the Mets ride down the Canyon of Heroes. Well, here we are. It's been way, way, way too long, but I think we're inching a little closer, Stephen. And you're not just getting praise on your arm. You're getting praise from Keith Hernandez on your mustache. I mean, things are going real well for Stephen Nogosek these days.
Yeah. No, funny moment. I saw him in the hotel in DC, and at first, I kind of saw him out of the corner of my eye, and I looked. So I was like, okay, yeah, that was him. And he kind of gave me a look, and when I came back into the hotel, we stopped and we talked about the mustache. We didn't even talk about baseball. We just talked about how to groom the mustache. If he asked me if he puts any product, he goes, well, now. He goes, I was like, well, did you play? And he goes, nope. He goes, nothing. And I was like, yeah, I don't either. He's like, you will when you get a little older. And so it was a funny little moment that I'm talking to one of the best ball players of all time, and it's not even about baseball.
That's it, right? Baseball is beautiful. Yeah. It's an amazing community. Yeah. And look at how everybody around you in that clubhouse is lifting each other up. It's really a special thing. Stephen, this has been a ton of fun. I've learned so much. Can't wait to see what you and the Mets have in store the rest of the season. Keep pulling the tarp and doing your thing, and we'll have to catch up again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for joining me this week. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast app so you can catch all of our upcoming episodes. And if you are like me and want a world full of tarp pullers, then leave a review to help others find us. You can also follow me on Twitter at Andrew H. Moses. That's Andrew H. Moses. And be sure to sign up for my email newsletter at everybodypullsthetarp.com/newsletter. I'll share tips and insights to help you achieve maximum success and happiness. Today is a great day to pull the tarp. I am rooting for you. See you next time.